everyone. We're back with another installment of our Spartan Strong web series where we reconnect and talk story with fellow alum. In this episode, we're featuring comic book artist Peter Nguyen from the class of 2002.
So, who is Peter Nguyen?
Thanks for having me. Who is Peter Nguyen? I grew up in Hawaii, obviously. I went to Maryknoll. I'm a Maryknoll alumni, and I am a comic book artist. And I also worked in animation, but I've done a little bit of stuff for TV as well. So I'm just a freelance illustrator living on the mainland. And I mean, who is Peter Nguyen is very broad.
Yeah.
I like to travel, I like to hike, and I like the beach a lot. I miss the beach. I'm in Orange County, California, so I'm pretty close to the beach, but I'm not so happy with this beach. I've been living out here since 2002. I went straight to Cal State University Northridge above LA, and I've been out here ever since. And I moved down maybe 2011. I moved down to Orange County, but I go back to Hawaii quite a bit, at least every Christmas. I majored in animation, actually, and I didn't know it was an option. There's no illustration. I mean, there's no comic book illustration at the Cal State school. So I majored in animation because Burbank is right close to CSUN. So I thought it was a great way to get internships.
Yeah, as an artist, I mean, how did you get your start in the industry?
You know, the very first job I ever had was I just emailed out of nowhere. I emailed a director and I said, "Can I work for free?" And they said, "You're too old to work for free." You're like, but I was still in school, but they were just saying like,
right.
You're not. It's not. We don't have internships or whatever, and this is a non-union gig, and we can't really pay you or whatever it was. And I was like, and they say don't work for free, but they eventually paid me like a week and a half later. So that was really the only way that I could get my foot in the industry. The very first job I had was Wolverine and the X-Men, the cartoon. I was really dedicated because I'm a huge X-Men fan.
Right.
So I became, I tried anything. So I tried to email them and whatever. And Steve Gordon, my director, he was like, "Yeah, we'll take you in. We'll try you out." They made me do everything the first week, and they kind of tested me. And I became a production assistant for that season 1, the only season that they have.
Well, did you have to send over like a portfolio and everything? Like,
it was an email. I probably attached a PDF of my work. I mean, I would now, but I don't know if I knew better then. Yeah. But I might have sent them a link to like a DeviantArt or something.
You know, did you always know that you were going to pursue a career as an artist after graduating high school?
Yeah, I think for my senior project at Maryknoll, it was an architectural build. So at that point, when I left high school, I thought maybe the possibility that I was going to become an architect. My dad's an engineer, and he pushed me to try to be an architect because I was visual. As far as like finding a job or finding a career path, that was not so easy. I didn't know what options were out there for art-wise. No one told me like you could be a comic book artist actually. Right. So I didn't know that was an actual job where those people were, or what that company was. I just needed to figure that out on my own. So like, I think by going to California and going to CSUN, options started to present themselves. But I knew that I was going to draw, I'm sure, because that's the only thing I can really do, maybe, or at least I thought that.
Right.
But,
in some form.
But yeah, it's not so clear. I mean, it doesn't seem, I think to other people, if it looked clear for them, you know, they're like, oh, he's going to draw. The specifics wasn't clear, I think. I mean, I drew comic books when I was a kid, but it doesn't, it wasn't like, I wasn't drawing buildings as a kid. But I didn't know that comic books was a job. I didn't know that somebody had to draw the book. I just thought it magically showed up.
Right.
But I think I also kind of knew that it wasn't for me. Actually, the senior project helped me decide that it wasn't for me.
Oh, interesting. So taking a look, I can see all your different artwork and, you know, your projects and everything. And, you know, your work consists a lot of comic book work, but I mean, what do you call yourself, you know, and what you do? Like, what is your title?
So if I work for Marvel and DC, I am a penciler. I am the first stage after the writer. And then my work goes to an inker, and then it goes to a colorist and letterers. There's only 5 of us on a book if I freelance from Marvel or DC. But as a freelancer, it can jump anywhere. It could jump from like animation. It could jump. I did some TV stuff as well, where they want to give all the celebrities a gift of original artwork. So I'll do a pinup, and then I'll give the celebrities as a rap call or whatever.
Right.
So the gig kind of goes all over the place. And the other thing that I do is like I go to conventions a lot, and they help me meet fans and people who want to buy just work for me. So a lot of and it allows me to travel. So like I get to go to. I mean, I did a show in Japan a couple times.
That's cool.
Russia, which is really fun. So like just like traveling. And doing the conventions is another part of this, which I didn't know was a part of being an artist, a comic book artist, you know? So I just kind of thought that you stayed at home all the time.
Right. Penciler. I never heard of that before.
You play the layout person, the director. You're also the actor because you're like making all the expressions, and you're you're lighting. You're deciding lighting because you want the inker to, you know, cast blacks or whatever. So you're making a mini movie in 24 pages, you know? So I think one thing I did draw was like the God Killer sword from Wonder Woman. And it was in Wonder Woman 1. And it was a Tony Daniel, the creator. He created it, and I drew it. And I think I was the first one he drew it on the cover, but I drew it in the book. And then they made it really slim, and they changed it, but they used that and adapted it to the movie for what their needs is, you know?
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
But it doesn't go backwards usually. Like I don't have to reference it backwards. Yeah.
So are there any significant milestones in your career that, you know, helped you realize you reached this level of, you know, success so far?
Plateaus and milestones are a very tricky thing, I think. I never feel like I'm ever going to be able to not learn something. You know, I want to learn more. And I feel like everything I release into the world, though satisfying, I want to do another one. I want to like erase what I've done, you know, because I want to just be better. But I will say there was a moment where I didn't know if I was going to be a comic book artist. And I did this talent search competition. And I thought that I wasn't going to win because some editor, you know, went through the whole thing, and he's like, I asked for a critique at the convention, and he said like, you have a long way to go, you know.
What year was that?
2007. So I was already starting to work in animation for a little bit. Right.
This is after the Wolverine gig or before? Yeah. This is after your foot was already in. Okay.
Oh yeah, they're separate industries for sure. They don't overlap. Yeah, I mean, they can, but they don't usually. So that was my very first sequential comic book page. And the editor said that it wasn't going to work out. And that's fine. I want critiques. I want to get better. I want to learn, you know. And then Jim Lee, the head of Wildstorm and now the publisher of DC Comics, he brought me on stage of that panel. And I was a huge fan of his work. And that might have been a milestone for me because it validated that somebody I admired said that I had potential, you know. So I think since then, I don't know if there's another milestone, but I definitely will use that as a breaking off point for how much I want to get better. But that was the moment where I realized, like, if somebody I admire thinks that I can do something, then why don't I think I can do something, you know? Right. So I thought it was, it's milestone, like it's kind of a broad, but yeah, that's my milestone.
What were some of your most like notable projects?
A fun project I did maybe 2 years ago was I flew to Atlanta, Georgia, and I went on the Gifted TV show set. And that's the one where they asked for drawings for their promotional stuff, and they asked for drawings to give to each cast member. And I spent 5 days on set, and it was really fun. Like, I just drew and sketched on set for 5 days. It gave me earphones. I had to be quiet, and I learned a lot, you know. And it was something that I didn't think that comic book. Like, I'm always surprised about what comic book doors can open. I never knew that was the case. I didn't think it was connected, you know.
Mhm.
But just getting there and like they invited me over to just sketch and draw, and so it was still like a great
Mhm.
learning experience, I feel like. But they found me at San Diego Comic-Con, and then it just became this really
Right.
fun experience.
That's cool. So projects like that, I mean, did they hire you based on your time, or they're just like, hey, here's a flat rate amount, and we want
Yeah,
you
it's per piece actually.
per piece?
But yeah, like I usually whatever it is, and like let's say we're at a show, it'd be like per head or
Mhm.
bust or full figure, and that's
Mhm.
those three tiers is what I can decide how much to charge initially, and then you can figure out from there. So then
Mhm.
that's how I kind of break it down. That's how I do it at least. But
Oh, and then, I mean, you're like like the usual stuff, like of just penciling. Is that based on time, like getting paid on your
no,
time?
it's definitely per page. So it can be a long day. I mean, a page can
Yeah.
take 5 hours or it can take 16 hours.
With the pandemic halting the usual hustle and bustle of the entertainment and the comic book industries, the conventions, stuff like that, what's a typical work day for you
Uh,
nowadays?
Early on in the pandemic, it was really hard to draw for sure. And
Mhm.
like I've been traveling since 2012. Maybe one year I did 12 countries, one year I did 5 countries, like every year. So you plan out your year. Your year is decided in advance.
Right.
What's going to happen, So this
Mhm.
year it was nice. It was nice to take a step back and see what kind of artist I would be if I wasn't traveling, because I was
Mhm.
traveling so much.
Mhm.
But I think early on, I had talked to artists about this struggle to draw, because I think we were being a little hard on ourselves. You're like, oh, you have all this time now. You should be productive. You should be doing all these things.
Right.
But, good friends of mine were saying, like, it's a pandemic. Like, you
Right.
can take the time off if you need to.
Take a
It's a
break.
new situation. You should adapt. Pre-pandemic, I was going to figure drawing every Wednesday,
Mhm.
and then maybe on Saturdays. So, like, I had a regimen of trying to get social activities in that included bettering drawing, and that was kind of erased as well. A lot of routines were erased.
Social drawings, meaning like you would meet up with other people that are.
Yeah, we might go to the beach and we might do plein air painting, or we might
Oh,
drive to a museum in LA and like draw
sick.
the Natural History Museum.
And these are just artists that are not necessarily only comic book artists, but
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like. I like the different artists that sometimes they're video game developers. They can teach you a lot, and when you're
Mhm.
drawing with other people, you can become a better artist, I feel like. With that routine gone, it was really hard for me to find a me routine, but I think,
Right.
I mean, I draw every day,
Mhm.
but I'm not upset if I don't draw, is what
Right.
I think is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Did you all the recent like Instagram lives that you've been doing? Have you always been doing something like that where
no,
you're
no, yeah.
so documenting
I,
yourself drawing like on the spot?
Yeah, I think it's because I miss connecting with people at shows a
Oh, I
lot,
see. Right,
and
right,
I like the idea that there's feedback. Art, they kind of need feedback, and maybe they
right,
don't. People can just release art and be okay with it, but
right,
kind of like connecting again. And I felt
right,
disconnected this year because of
right.
the pandemic. Social media is
Now,
part of the game, I think.
mhm,
As an artist, even as a young artist too, I feel like you need
mhm,
social media to at least put yourself out there.
mhm.
And when you put something out there, I feel like you're critical of it and you want to get better too. Some people shut down, they can shut
Right,
down, but I also think there's people who are like, oh, okay, I'm documenting
right.
progression and I'm, building a fan base and I want to see how I'm improving and I want to do better.
How did would you say like a lot of the convention booking agents and stuff like that, they find you through
Mhm.
social media?
Yeah, it could be word of mouth, it could be social media, or it could
Mhm.
be you reaching out to the convention.
What are some current projects you're working on?
So the things that I've done this year, the last month, is the Snowpiercer TV show. I've seen the movie. I haven't seen the TV show.
Oh, I
Sadly.
haven't seen the show. It's on TNT though, right? I saw.
Yeah. It was for this kind of outreach for their Instagram thing. So like
Oh, cool.
it was like join you with a celebrity, and then I can't say the celebrity's name because she's not released yet, but I'll say it's a lady. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know if they will release it yet. But we designed their dream trains, so like
Oh.
they're like their best version of the train, lower class, middle class, and upper class. So
Oh.
that was one project, and then the
Mhm.
other project is the Sandman Audible project, where they're doing Neil Gaiman's an adaptation to the audiobook of The Sandman. And it's a really cool project because you're drawing people's dreams that they submit. So like people are submitting some crazy dreams. My dreams are very boring. Like,
yeah, me
like
too.
one person's face is just changing as I'm talking to them. Yeah, I mean, people submitted like Cat Tsunami.
Those are commission pieces for the show or for the company.
The audio book. So they're trying to promote the book, so they're doing this whole thing. And because of New York Comic Con, I think I'm going to be drawing another dream that they're going to give to that person, a physical dream, and as a part of the panel. It was just announced today, so it's like this. Yeah, I mean, some really crazy dreams, like lady falling through all her childhood memories. There's like glasses coming out of her body, and she's made out of stained glass. Like, very interesting stuff.
And I mean, like these projects, they're commissioning you for them, so you're getting paid by the, by
the piece,
Snowpiercer, or by
They decide, like, I don't know, like if you want to do your own inks, if you want to do your own colors, they're going to give you a different. And if you don't do the conventions, there's no way to re-up those, connections. So.
Oh, wow. So the conventions do play a significant part in just your business aspect, right, of networking.
Yeah. I mean, you make money, but you also network at the conventions, and you try to work at the convention, or you break in at the convention.
Can you share some professional advice with our alumni who are looking to get into your industry or who are already maybe currently in it?
Yeah, of course. I think things that I wish I knew maybe when I was in high school and wanted to pursue art was that, first of all, I brought up that I didn't know what was a job. So at least figure out what you want to do and research if there is a possibility to do it,
right.
and be realistic about it. Like, I would say that I blindly followed some kind of weird random passion and it worked out, but I wish that I had been able to talk to a mentor and get somebody who could tell me about the industry before I broke in. As a young artist, you just kind of want to make it work no matter what. But I feel like if you really want to pursue something, you should definitely research it. As a comic book artist or an animation artist or somebody who does freelance, they all have different ways to break in, and they're all going to be specific to that field. So you definitely want to research your field that you want to focus on and build a portfolio specific to that field. Like if you want to do character design, just build 20 drawings of character designs, and you're probably not going to be happy with half of them. But when you get a better one, switch it out and slowly build that portfolio so that you have something to show to somebody, And I think that was really, it was hard for me to get out of my own head when I was building a portfolio, because I was like, I don't like any of them. But I think what you have to do is you have to put yourself out there and you have to just build something so that at least another artist can tell you what you're doing wrong. Initially, a lot of young artists, they have a lot of fear of exposure and putting themselves out there and building that portfolio and taking that step, because artists are pretty critical and there's an emotion base to it, and they get attached to stuff and they don't want to hear a bad critique. But I think just do it and try to get anything out there, and then you'll have a starting point and you can build on that. That's how I felt in the beginning. But yeah, is there a second part to your question?
No, that's it. So if they want to send over, if there were anyone looking for critiques and they wanted to send you their portfolio.
Yeah, of course. I take critiques all the time, actually. I mean, even at the conventions, I would give them critiques, even if it was like crammed, because I know how important critiques are. And I think a Maryknoll kid did reach out to me many years ago. So
really?
Yeah, it's kind of neat that it's changing, or people are doing that, reaching out to other artists. In the beginning of my interview, I said, like, I randomly
seriously
emailed some random person. I think it's fair. You can do it to me. You can go for anything you want. Yeah, it's confusing in the beginning, and I totally get that. Especially now you guys have internet, but I had internet too, but it's not the same.
No, it's not, man. Yeah, Deviant art has been around for so long, right? It's still such a prominent platform for.
I think I have 15 years of work on there, and not all of it is good, but I like having it there. Not for clients, but for me, because it shows progression. Yeah, and it's good to record that, keep a sketchbook and record your progression.
Thank you for your time today. really appreciate
Yeah.
taking a little break and talking story with us. So
Well, thank you so much for having me, and that background is sick. It's like nice to see.
nostalgic.